The Ford Mustang Dark Horse is already one of the most capable Mustangs to date. Not only because it features the most powerful naturally aspirated V8 ever to be put in a Mustang, but also because it's extremely capable handling-wise. But what if that's not enough? This is where one of the greatest tuning companies in the world, Hennessey Performance, comes into play. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is their Hennessey Super Venom H850 Mustang Dark Horse. Today, we're at the Hennessey Performance Headquarters and Test Track, and we're gonna be seeing what this bad boy is all about. Let's go.
Under the hood of the Dark Horse lives Ford's 4th generation 5-liter dual throttle body Coyote V8, and it's good for 500 horsepower and 418 pound-feet of torque, making it the most powerful naturally aspirated Mustang to date. It's mated to either a Tremec 6-speed manual or a 10-speed automatic, rides on MagnaRide adaptive dampers, and comes armed with massive Brembo brakes and sticky Pirelli P0s. Serious stuff. But as we know, this Mustang is for the people who think 500 horsepower is just not enough. The H850 upgrade from Hennessey transforms the Dark Horse into a full-blown supercharged weapon, boasting a staggering 850 horsepower and 650 pound-feet of torque. To get there, Hennessey bolts on a high-performance supercharger system, larger fuel injectors, a high-flow air induction setup, and recalibrates everything with their custom HPE engine management software. Visually, the H850 is equally as aggressive. Hennessey adds a full carbon fiber aero kit, which includes a larger front splitter, louvers on the wheel wells, side skirts, and a prominent, gorgeous swan neck rear wing spoiler. You'll also get lightweight Hennessey badged forged wheels, and don't forget the interior Hennessey badging. The culmination of this tells everyone that this ain't no regular Dark Horse, and my goodness, is she sexy. But enough of me talking, let's listen to Adam from Hennessey, who may know a little more about it than I do, and then we'll drive the thing.
All right, guys, we're here with Adam again. I want to say thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah.
Now we got the ultra sexy, I know it's kind of cliche to say that, but I swear this thing looks so damn good. The Super Venom H850. First question is, what is your favorite part about what Hennessey does to this car and just the Dark Horse in general?
It's kind of tough for me to pick with this particular vehicle because kind of like what we were just briefly talking about, the performance is crazy.
Yeah.
I think I would land on the exterior aesthetics is my favorite. I think having the wow factor when you pull up anywhere, and people doing double takes of, you know, just everything involved with the exterior on this.
Absolutely.
It makes you feel special.
Another key feature that I was kind of wowed by is the fact that Hennessey takes the most powerfully naturally aspirated V8 that's ever been in a Mustang, so that's already something substantial, and then increases that power by 70%.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous, right? So I would love to hear kind of your thoughts and opinions on that.
Well, every vehicle that we modify here is going to be the top trim and, you know, the biggest power essentially that the manufacturer can produce. But for us, it's never going to be enough. And so we always want to throw more power in it, but we have to ride that line of it still has to be daily driver friendly and everything. And so I think with this, we did a perfect job at squeezing the most amount of performance out of it while still letting it be a very daily driver friendly vehicle.
Absolutely. And again, that's something I touched on in the video. I was surprised, you know, I know we mentioned this earlier before the camera was on, 850 horsepower, it's putting the power down.
It does really well. And I mean, the traction control system really isn't that intrusive. It's not something that, you know, you feel like the car's falling on its face all the time when you're trying to put the power down. It feels like it's just pulling all the time. So I think it does really well with that.
Absolutely. Anything else you want to mention?
The exclusivity of this particular platform is going to be a major thing for us. We're only building 91 units.
Wow.
Typically we're closer to the 200 range and something like this. And so this is just a super special car. And I think everybody should know that if you like it, you want it, you got to act fast on these.
Hell yeah. And I guess one question is that the XP91, is that referencing back to the build count or?
So the XP is in reference to our experiment car. It's our prototype car. So this is before serial number 1 even.
Wow.
So serial number 1 was allocated to the first customer to pull the trigger on one of these.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. So I saw that earlier, I had to ask. But awesome. Thank you so much, Adam. I really appreciate it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are now in the Hennessey H850 Super Venom. First off, I actually really like the way the steering wheel feels straight out the gate. As I was just taking this car from where the factory is to this test track, the steering wheel's got a really nice weight to it. Even though it's like this electronic steering, it still feels fantastic. Actually reminds me a lot of the steering feel in the M2, which I love. As I now start to apply a little bit more throttle, you can start to hear that Coyote 5-liter V8. And again here, when I'm actually loaded up in these corners, the feel is fantastic. Honestly, I really like the weight that the steering wheel has. It's like so many supercars and just sports-oriented cars nowadays, the steering is so dull, it's so light, it's so reactive that you don't get that enjoyment of having a good weight to it. For the people who sim race a lot, it's like turning the force feedback up on the simulator. I will say one thing that could be maybe a little bit or a tad bit better is the fact that you don't feel as many of the bumps and the undulations to the steering wheel. Yeah, it's got a great weight to it, but oftentimes cars that have really great steering, you know, the steering wheel will pull in the direction of the camber that's on the road. So you don't get that much feedback in that sense. Overall takeaways from driving this thing in the normal mode, the biggest thing is that you can still daily drive this car easily. The seats are actually really comfortable. These are somewhat of a bucket seats, so you got really good bolstering, but overall, it's just a great car. I'm cruising here at 47-50 miles an hour down the main straightaway, and it's fantastic. But for another lap, let's turn it up a little bit of a notch. So let's put it into that sport mode, and we're gonna put it into manual so I can kind of shift with the gears here. Just with a little bit of power application, the front hood is already lifting up. Oh gosh, she pulls and there's so much more there. There's so much more there. I'm literally giving probably 20, 30, 40% throttle. We got the 12.4 inch infotainment system on the driver's side here, and then we got a 13.4 inch or 13.2 inch screen here. Not too many buttons down low. I usually like to have buttons that give me the ability to change some of the dynamic modes. So it's actually all done electronically here, but I guess that's just the new age. Oh my goodness, already this thing is pulling like crazy, and that's only half throttle. It's insane. It's insane. Holy crap. So the transmission is a 10-speed automatic. You don't have that dual clutch transition. You can either actually option this as standard. It comes with a 6-speed manual, or you can option it with the paddles and the automatic here. You got a little bit more space here, so we're gonna give it a little bit more beans. I know as well this car has big Brembo brakes. That was one thing that a lot of people talked about, is just overall this Dark Horse Mustang is one of the most, and I mentioned it in the intro, it's really one of the most track performance and capable Mustangs that we've seen to date. And just driving it smoothly like now, I can feel that it's got a great overall kind of grip to it and balance. How the power is kind of delivered, it really actually feels pretty linear, even with that supercharger on it. You don't have an insane whine to it, but you can slightly hear that supercharger is there. Here we got a corner, we're gonna push it a little bit more, see what it feels like. Yeah, you got a little bit of roll to it. Oh my gosh. Holy crap. And let's hit it now. Holy crap, that's 90, 100. Oh my goodness. Hennessey, what have you done? Holy crap. We're gonna turn it up into the track mode, see what she feels like, see if things stiffen up. Already the grunt from that Coyote V8 is just a little bit louder, and now the shifts get a little bit harder. It's got a little bit more of a kick to it when we upshift. Got some more burbles when we downshift. And then a big key feature here is that now the infotainment system's really only focused on the RPM. Gosh, I mean, this car, you'd have a ton of fun with this car, just in general. I think one of the key things that I really was curious about coming in is, out the gate, this thing makes 500 horsepower, right? That's already supercar level performance. coming from a Mustang. It's absurd, and that's a naturally aspirated V8 doing that. And now you tie this Hennessey supercharger to it, and the car just absolutely goes. Oh my gosh, unbelievable. It's got great grip as well. See what we can do here. That's 101, 110, all the way up to 130. Unbelievable. My oh my, Hennessey, what have you done? What do you think?
Dude, that blew me away.
Yeah?
That blew me away.
And again, all the way up to 130.
Dude, the 80 to 130 is insane.
Yeah, and that's really where it shines, honestly. That 80 to 130 is absurd.
It's like you don't know there's more.
Exactly.
And then there is more.
Yeah.
And then there's more again.
Yeah, yeah. That's honestly like the best way to put it. One other key thing that I want to point out is the numbers, because the numbers out the gate speak for themselves, right? The Dark Horse stock will do 0 to 60 in about 3.7 seconds in the automatic version, which is what we have here, and then 4.1 seconds in the manual version if you're a good driver. Then the quarter mile for the stock Dark Horse will be done in about 12 seconds at 118 miles an hour. With this Hennessey H850 Super Venom package, it does 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds, so half a second quicker. And then secondly, the quarter mile is ridiculous. 10.9 seconds at 133 miles an hour. I mean, those numbers are just drastically different, but they're just numbers, right? At the end of the day, how does it feel, right? And I think, judging off my impressions, right, that, you know, sending this car down that Hennessey test track, that it is significant. You can feel that extra 70% increase in power. It's monumental. The numbers truly live up to the experience. I think overall, I kind of want to conclude really what this Ford Mustang Dark Horse and the Hennessey H850 is all about. The Mustang Dark Horse is a fantastic car at the gate. Performance-wise, people have raved about its track capabilities, the balance, but when you just give it that more, let Hennessey do their magic, the sound gets better, the acceleration gets better, the 80 to 130 is insane. Everything about it, the badging, the looks, it looks more aggressive. You just feel better driving this car. Honestly, I was worried that traction would be a little bit of an issue. Hennessey did a fantastic job with their tuning to make sure that the car still rides properly. You can still daily drive it. It's truly a joy to be out here testing this vehicle and seeing what it's all about. And that grunty noise, I mean, it just reverberates in your ears. It sounds absolutely amazing. Here in Texas, they say everything's bigger and better in Texas, and they're right. Oh my gosh, it is ridiculous how fast it is. I really forget, because you only got to use 50-60% of the throttle to have fun, and then when you use that extra couple percent to get to that 100% throttle application, the thing is ridiculous. It pulls like a monster. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness, I'm out of breath, guys. But oh my goodness, all right, we got to do conclusions of the Super Venom H850. I think the first thing I got to mention, this is a riot of a car. I mean, that Coyote V8 with the supercharger that Hennessey puts on there, it absolutely screams. And I think overall, the Mustang is already, it's a great platform, right? I also think one thing that I have to point out, and that I want to stress enough, is look how sexy this thing looks. It's ridiculous, it's insane. All the carbon fiber accents, the carbon fiber vent here on the hood, the side skirts, the louvers on the fenders, all the additional bits and bobs, and that swan neck rear wing, it just turns the look up to 11, right? And then that supercharger, that 70% increase in the power, turns this bad boy into a monster. And I guess really some of the key takeaways was I was surprised by the balance, how well it feels. I was surprised by the steering feel. It's fantastic. I love it. And then lastly, what I'm really surprised, and hats off to Hennessey, is the fact that they're able to manage all that power. You can take it to the track, rip, have some fun, and then beat supercars in the quarter mile. So what more do you need? Massive shout out to Hennessey Performance, as we just got a burnout there. It's a perfect outro, but like I said, massive shout out to the boys here at Hennessey Performance. I can't thank them enough for this opportunity to come and test one of their new vehicles here at their test track. It was such a pleasure. So with that outro, without further ado, please browse the channel, subscribe, watch my previous content, and if you're ever interested in one of these Hennesseys, you want that little extra grunt, make sure to go check out the best boys in the business.